he's not running Venezuela. The United States has got no capacity at the moment to run Venezuela. Trump got ahead of himself, and he made claims that turned out not to be the case about the extent of conversations with the vice president and so on. So I think talking about this as if it is the case now that the US will run Venezuela is really anticipating developments that have not yet taken place.
Now, President Maduro of Venezuela and his wife are being held in a US detention center after being seized by special forces, US special forces yesterday. President Trump says a US team will run Venezuela in the interim. International reaction has been mixed. The United Nations says it is, quotes, deeply alarmed. Well, we can speak now to Lawrence Freedman, the Emeritus Professor of War Studies at King's College London, about that and indeed about other global conflicts going on. Hello to you, Sir Lawrence.
Good day to you, Adam.
What do you make of the developments or the implications, really, of what's happened in Venezuela over the past 48 hours?
I think people are getting... The difficulty with Trump is because he's president of the United States, when he says something, you suppose you have to take it seriously. He's not running Venezuela. The United States has got no capacity at the moment to run Venezuela. There's a government in Venezuela that may be feeling rather shaky at the moment, but it hasn't been supplanted. There's no regime changes taken place. What has happened is the president has been whisked away in what is quite an impressive military operation by the US and will now face charges related to the United States and an American indictment in New York. But Trump got ahead of himself, and he made claims that turned out not to be the case about the extent of conversations with the vice president and so on. So I think talking about this as if it is the case now that the US will run Venezuela is really anticipating developments that have not yet taken place.
It is still the deposition of a leader of another country by the US president. Would you agree with Alex Chalk, the former Conservative minister I just been speaking to, who says, well, you know, the rules-based order is over. Now we're in an era of anything you can get away with?
Yes and no. I mean, this is not without precedent, especially in that part of the world. The US has been involved in deposing Latin American leaders since Arbenz in Guatemala in the 1950s. So it's not a wholly new development. And almost exactly 36 years ago, in fact, the two events were on the 3rd of January. The US extracted Noriega, who was the dictator of Panama, and put him on trial in the United States. I think there is a distinction which Trump completely blurred between dealing with somebody who you claim to be engaged in criminal activities that directly affect the United States, and from a country with whom you have no extradition arrangement, and just taking him out, and you can argue how wise or legal that is, and regime change, which is an altogether more serious matter. And the way that the US framed it to start with was the former, not the latter. And then we get to Trump's press conference yesterday, and all of a sudden it becomes the latter. We're going to run the country. The two are quite different.
I mean, Zelensky has said on the principles applied to Maduro, really, Donald Trump should do the same to Putin. What do you make of that?
Well, good luck. I mean, this is again one of the difficulties. I mean, and as you know, Ben Wallace was saying to you earlier, if you take this absolutely seriously, then what Trump is trying to do with Venezuela, and Trump has promised to do with Canada or Greenland or whatever, is aggressive and imperialist and so on. And Putin obviously has been aggressive imperialist. I think the two situations are quite different because of the way Putin has gone about his business, but also because, there's always an element of fantasy with what Trump says. He fabricates stuff. And because he's president, we have to take it seriously. So I think that we have to wait and see whether there's any serious follow through to this, or whether this is just another one of those instances
I mean,
where.
what do you make of Fiona Hill talking about Russia wanting, quotes, a very strange swap arrangement between actions in Venezuela and what they're doing in Ukraine?
I think yes. I mean, I think so. This again is the spheres of influence argument. So the idea which you could get from the recent national security strategy document is the Western Hemisphere is America's. It can do what it like there, and Europe is Putin's, and he can do what he likes there. The difficulty is, first, Putin can't do what he likes in Europe because Europeans have got a view on that and are opposed to what he's doing. And secondly, I think Trump is not prepared to put the boots on the ground. He said he was, but I don't think he's yet shown, certainly not in sufficient numbers for sufficient duration, to actually take over Venezuela. So I think we've got here the problem of principles and legality, which is one level that you can talk about these things, and then the actual practical realities of being able to run other countries and dealing with whatever opposition you face. And these situations are very different. So you can certainly say that rules and norms and conventions are getting regularly disregarded or overthrown. Trump talks in the language of power, but he exaggerates his power and he exaggerates his ability to make the world bend to his will.
And just finally, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine goes on. What do you feel the prospects are for this year?
I don't think there's going to be an early peace agreement. I don't think Putin's got an interest in one at the moment. And again, this is another example of sort of Trump's wishful thinking that Putin is really a man of peace and cares about the Ukrainians. He doesn't. So I think at the moment we're looking to see essentially what happens in the next few months of fighting, whether Putin can make the sorts of advances he claims he can, but has struggled to do so up to now, how well the Ukrainians cope with the sort of bombardments they receive nightly, and how resilient they can stay. My guess is that you'll start to see a sort of stock taking in the spring. And if there's going to be movement towards ending the war, it's more likely to happen then. But it's perfectly possible this war will carry on, maybe at reduced intensity, but will carry on through 2026.
Professor Lawrence Freedman, thank you very much indeed.